5G Unlimited plans.
You are Father Davenport. You were here to perform an exorcism.
This is not real. There's a scientific explanation for what's happening. Hell no. We're gonna get our kids back. This goes so much deeper than you know. Oh my God. They're everywhere.
Later, Jimmy Fallon welcomes Taylor Swift. NBC Tonight.
On our broadcast tonight, Tim Michaels is speaking out against the current parole board system. We'll explain the changes he wants to make if elected. Plus, the Darrell Brooks trial is moving into the next phase. We'll have a recap of today's events. And a local school is raising awareness about drug abuse. We'll have the details as your local news starts right now.
News Watch 12 with Jessica Jukic and Jeff Weller.
Good evening and welcome to News Watch 12 at 10. I'm Jessica Jukic. Republican gubernatorial candidate Tim Michaels wants to change Wisconsin's parole board system. Today, Michaels says he does not want to pause paroles, but he wants to appoint a chair of the Wisconsin Parole Commission whose goal will not be reducing the prison population. Governors appoint the head of the commission but do not make parole board decisions. Michaels says, quote, "We need to have a shift in the cultural thinking of the parole commission." Michaels used convicted murderer Floyd Marlowe as an example. Marlowe was paroled in January after serving 22 years of a 40-year sentence. He was arrested last week and is facing several charges, including possession of a firearm by a felon and carrying a concealed weapon. It was a great day to be outside the past few days. Jeff, what do we have in store this week?
What a weekend, right? Temperatures up in the 70s. Today it's cooling off just a bit, and now the rain showers are out there into tomorrow, and much colder air is on the way. Let's go outside now and check on the radar. Lots of rain showers across all of north central Wisconsin, but here we go, right? There's not going to be anything heavy tonight, but persistent rain showers moving in now that are going to linger into tomorrow morning. If it's raining where you're at currently, likely another 2, 3, 4 hours of rainfall tonight into early parts of tomorrow. The heaviest right now over parts of the Wausau area, back into Wood County and Portage County, all moving northeast at about 35 miles per hour. All of this will be rain tonight. No snow with this system. That will stay across the Dakotas tonight, as that's where the really cold air is right now. Though, behind this is the colder air for us, and we're going to have high temperatures tomorrow pretty much in the 40s after 70s today. Look at all that colder air to the west of us. That is all moving our direction. Our lives are going to change a bit tomorrow. Our forecast tonight, though, is looking at mostly cloudy skies, lots of rain showers out there, nothing heavy, with low temperatures down near 45. Your full forecast is coming up. Jessica?
Thank you, Jeff. The judge in the case against Darrell Brooks is fed up. You can see him here in court representing himself. Today, the judge said Brooks was, quote, pushing the limits of the court, and she decided he won't be allowed to call additional witnesses at trial, pointing out more than 27 disruptions and outbursts, along with his refusal to answer whether he intended to testify or call more witnesses. She said it was, quote, tactic to delay, disrupt, and distract. Brooks is facing multiple charges and could get life in prison. Initially, he pled not guilty because of insanity. He rested his case on Monday, and prosecutors have been told to get ready for closing arguments, which could happen as soon as Tuesday. Authorities have identified the 6 people who died in an apartment fire in southern Wisconsin as 2 adults and 4 children. Police say all 6 lived together in one apartment of the 4-unit building in Heartland. The adults who died were Connor McKissick and Jessica McKissick. The children were identified as a 14-year-old girl, a 12-year-old girl, and 2 3-year-old boys. Their names were not released. The cause of Friday's fire has not been determined, and an active criminal investigation is underway. 10 people were displaced by that fire, including 2 families of 4 and an adult couple. Portage County law enforcement say they have identified the man who was found dead in a cornfield. Police were able to identify the victim as 41-year-old Bruce Vasecule of Wisconsin Rapids. Vasecule was last seen on July 31st in Almond and was declared missing. Police are still investigating the nature in which he died, but it does not appear to be an isolated incident. The Michigan family who went missing from their Fremont home last Sunday was found in Stevens Point yesterday. Marissa Oberle has more on the curious case and what caused the family to disappear.
Capitalized and bolded, Fremont police got their message across on Sunday. In a release, Chief Tim Rodwell said around 11 a.m., the department safely located the Sirigliano family in Stevens Point, Wisconsin, a small city 2 hours northwest of Milwaukee.
I just keep praying.
It's the outcome so many people in West Michigan wanted after investigators asked for the public's help earlier this week. According to police, Anthony, Suzette, and their sons, 19-year-old Brandon and 15-year-old Noah, disappeared last Sunday, hours after Anthony made a bizarre call to 911.
It is related to September 11th, and people want to erase me from the face of the earth.
Police say they left behind a family member with dementia who requires full-time care along with their pets. Throughout the investigation, officials obtained security camera footage which showed the Siriglianos at a gas station in the UP on Monday. They then stayed in Iron Mountain for a few days. It's unknown why the family went there. The department says the family still fears for their safety, but the elements of the investigation do not meet the criteria for protective custody. With the investigation now closed, they thanked everyone who stepped in to help.
Governor Tony Evers has vetoed more than 100 Republican bills since taking office, but he may not have that veto pen in 2023. Even if Evers wins it in November, state Republicans have their eyes on supermajorities in the legislature, and the tipping point seat might be in Stevens Point. Representative Katrina Shankland has held the 71st Assembly District since 2013. Over the years, the Democrat has seen her margin of victory get smaller and smaller. She said having one-party rule would allow for more extreme laws like keeping in place the 1849 ban on abortions.
That is an extreme law that many people do not support in Wisconsin. And I am a co-author of a bill to repeal that because the majority of Wisconsinites and the majority of people across the country support access to abortion.
Shankland is facing Republican Scott Soik for the second time. Soik said if he's elected, he would want to keep the abortion ban in place.
I support the law the way it is right now. My door will be open to any conversation for rape and incest.
Republicans would have to flip 5 assembly seats and 1 state Senate seat for supermajorities. Then there would be enough votes to override a veto. Police and sheriff's departments across the area are sharing the warning signs of utility scams on social media. Scammers have recently been posing as WPS employees in order to scam the utilities customers. They may even manipulate caller ID to display WPS or use a recording that sounds like an employee of the company. Scammers will often threaten to turn off your energy right away and demand immediate payment, often by prepaid debit card, third-party apps like Zelle or Venmo, or unusual payment methods such as Bitcoin. If you believe you're being targeted by a scammer, the best thing to do is hang up and call WPS. Red Ribbon Week is a national drug awareness campaign that's held every year in the last week of October. Schools like Sugar Camp Elementary are making sure they use this week to teach students about the dangers of drug abuse. Newswatch 12's Mohammed Abdul Kawi explains what they're teaching students.
Drugs are very dangerous, especially for the developing brain and mind of adolescents.
This week is Red Ribbon Week at Sugar Camp Elementary. On Monday, students from kindergarten to 6th grade had the chance to show their support by wearing the color red.
Lots of red today. There's only, I think, a few people that maybe forgot or didn't have something red, but yeah, big effort and a lot of participation.
Kristen Opel is the school guidance counselor. She says Red Ribbon Week is an opportunity to educate the youth about the dangers of drug abuse.
We just want to make sure that kids are aware of the problems that it can cause and what to do if they come across things or if they see problems happening, who they can come to and who they can talk to.
Student council members Addison and Ava planned out many fun themes throughout the week in order to educate students about the serious topic.
I think kids come out of their comfort zone when they do this. Like they become more active or social, you could say.
I felt like confident in what we have
and I'm happy of what we have, and I think it'll be a very fun week.
There's an old saying that states, start them young. Opal believes that the earlier you teach the kids, the more prepared they'll be in the future.
Any way that we can help encourage healthy behaviors and positive and safe behaviors for kids from an early age on, that's what we want to do here at school, especially at the elementary level.
Reporting in Sugar Camp, Muhammad Abdul Qawi, Newswatch 12.
One of the officers involved in the death of George Floyd has entered a plea, and test scores in Wisconsin are dropping. We'll have the details after weather right here on Newswatch 12.
Saturday, October 29th, the Wisconsin Department of Justice will be holding a free prescription drug take-back event. If you have unused or unwanted medications, ointments, patches, non-aerosol sprays, inhalers, vials, or pet medication, clean out your medicine cabinets. Don't let your old medication fall into the wrong hands by disposing of unused or unwanted medications properly. For more information on locations and accepted items, go to doseofrealitywi.gov. This information is brought to you by the Human Service Center of Vilas, Forest, and Oneida County.
Over 800 convicted criminals released. 270 murderers and attempted murderers released. 44 child rapists released. Tony Evers' parole commission has released hundreds of violent criminals early, including some of the worst killers in Wisconsin history. Evers' liberal policies are making our communities less safe. Tony Evers put criminals first and our family's safety last.
Coming from the Midwest, we know that winter can chill to the bones. Menards has all the heating options to combat those cold months. Need heat wherever you are? Check out our endless options of space heaters. Want something for a cozy living space? Pick up one of our many fireplaces. Job sites? Home? We have your back. Menards has heating options for whatever situation you need it for, and get 11% off it all.
Save big money at Menards.
In the Senate, Ron Johnson pushed tax loopholes benefiting himself and his donors.
Did my business benefit? Sure. Did some of my donor businesses? Sure.
But here's what Johnson's doing to us. He voted to raise the retirement age and allow cuts to Social Security. Even supports letting Wisconsin ban nearly all abortions and said, if you don't like it, you can move. Ron Johnson works for himself, never us. SMP is responsible for the content of this ad.
All right, look what we did today. High temperatures back in the 60s, even a couple 70s across north central Wisconsin. This will not be the case tomorrow as the cold front has now gone through, and look at temperatures compared to this time yesterday. You see it, right? A lot colder over here, not so much over here. This is exactly where the front is, moving this way. So it's about to get cooler around here. Not cold for late October standards, but overall high temperatures pretty much hanging out in the 50s tomorrow. Okay, so right now across the plains, we have 30s over there. The really cold stuff is not going to make it our way, at least not this time around. We'll have highs near 50 tomorrow and for Wednesday and for Thursday, as this air is just not Arctic in nature. It's basically Pacific Ocean air. That's kind of moderated, right? But that's going to keep us near 50 into the weekend and maybe even go for 60 on Saturday. On paper, that looks like this. So 51 tomorrow, 51 also for Wednesday, Thursday 53. Look at Friday 55. And then we're talking about maybe a 60 back in the forecast over the weekend. Another fantastic weekend on deck after we had 70s this past weekend. All right, lots of rain showers out there now. This is the front coming through. There's nothing heavy in here. However, they are persistent, right? So it's raining where you are currently, likely keep raining for a couple more hours tonight into early parts of tomorrow morning. And there may be a clap of thunder, most likely not. Just a persistent rainfall out there tonight. We could use every drop of this, as you know, as it's been very dry across our neck of the woods. It'll all be rain, though. We're on the warm side of this system across Wisconsin. The cooler stuff is still way over here across the Dakotas. That will stay there. We are in a good shape shape now going forward, as that's where the snow is and not much of it at all. So overall, a rain event for us tonight, a wind shift later on tomorrow morning, ushering in some cooler, drier air for us as well. Futurecast shows the rain getting out of here by about sunrise tomorrow morning, and then decreasing clouds throughout the day too. It's going to be a bit blustery though, with high temperatures struggling to get out of the 40s, with high temperatures pretty much near 50. Our forecast then tonight though, with scattered rain showers out there, breezy and colder. That wind could gust. It's out of the southeast right now. It'll turn out of the west like in a half hour from now, and probably northwest by tomorrow morning, with low temperatures down near 45, and breezy is going to feel much different tomorrow morning, right? For tomorrow, here we go. It's Tuesday already, partly cloudy skies, and we'll call it decreasing clouds. Look for low high temperatures near 51, with that west wind, west-northwest wind, that could gust near 20 through the afternoon. And then looking ahead, your 7-day forecast by Northwoods Furniture and Mattress shows tomorrow 51, also for Wednesday, dry Wednesday, Thursday 53, Friday 55. Look at Saturday, 60, right? 57 for Sunday, and there's Halloween this year. Looks like partly cloudy skies with a high temperature of 57. Jessica?
Thank you, Jeff. The trial against the former president's company is underway. Jury selection started Monday in the Manhattan District Attorney's case against the Trump Organization. Prosecutors allege the Trump Organization engaged in a 15-year scheme to compensate top executives off the books to avoid paying taxes. Potential witnesses in the trial could include the former president, his sons Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump, and his daughter Ivanka Trump. However, no member of the Trump family has been personally charged in this case. One of the officers involved in the death of George Floyd has pled guilty to aiding and abetting second-degree manslaughter. Former Minneapolis police officer J. Alexander King will serve 3.5 years in prison as part of a deal. He and 2 former officers were convicted in February of violating Floyd's civil rights. Floyd was killed by Officer Derek Chauvin and King and 2 other officers stood by. Floyd's death sparked protest across the country calling for justice. Chauvin was convicted of state murder and manslaughter charges last year and is serving 22.5 years. Wisconsin has the largest test score gap between black and white students of any state. The nation's report card tracked 4th grade students in math and found white students scored about 37% higher than black students. In reading, white students scored 22% higher than black students. Meanwhile, in 8th grade math, white students scored 23% higher. Test officials say they could not draw conclusions from the results about how virtual learning impacted district scores. Governor Tony Evers wants to invest $2 billion to boost education funding for the 2023-2025 budget. He wants to focus on literacy, mental health, and staffing shortages. A high school volleyball team is hoping to go to state. Coming up on Newswatch 12, Dan Hagan will have the latest in sports.
Dear Exit Strategy, all your pieces are in place. Thanks for being there when I need you most. Always Toyota SUVs. Toyota, let's go places.
I'm Mandela Barnes, and I approve this message.
Ron Johnson caught lying. Independent fact checks call his attacks on Mandela Barnes false and misleading. But it's Johnson's views that are alarming. Johnson supported a ban on abortions. He co-sponsored a bill that makes no exceptions for rape, incest, or the life of the woman. And Johnson said if women don't like it, they can move. The truth is, it's Ron Johnson who doesn't belong in Wisconsin.
Sure is nice to have my 3 older kids home to visit. Oh yeah, I love coming home. I miss having soft water.
That's why I bring my laundry home on the weekend.
It's so much better for my hair too, but you wouldn't know anything about that, Corey.
Well, that's why my hair looks so nice and moisturized.
What do you know about moisturized hair?
Well, having 2 older sisters and a brother who only showers a couple times a week helps.
Well, actually, 72 years of treating water in Wisconsin is our family story. You kids are pretty well versed in water.
So let us make your family's water better today.
Defund the Police radical Mandela Barnes isn't just dangerously wrong on crime. Barnes supported raising Wisconsin's gas tax nearly 30%, while we already pay some of the highest gas taxes in the country. Barnes wants to stop all oil and gas production in America, killing jobs and making prices skyrocket. And while Barnes didn't pay his own taxes, he pushed a $1 billion tax increase on Wisconsin families. We can't afford radical Mandela Barnes. Senate Leadership Fund is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Dear Exit Strategy, all your pieces are in place. Thanks for being there when I need you most. Always Toyota SUVs. Toyota, let's go places.
Coming up on News Watch 12, we welcome Christina Paris for another segment of Nursing the North.
And more rain showers in the area, but the rain will be moving out shortly. I'll have the answers and more coming up.
Leona Wabeno Volleyball soared last season, taking second place at state. But their top hitter graduated, so expectations weren't as high for this year. But don't tell that to any of the players of this year's team. They are 2 wins away from state. The team had a rocky start to the season, though. Senior and captain Grace Krause told me they changed their mindset about halfway through. She said the team started to focus more on their goals.
In practice, we've had a mindset change. We know our goal. We know our goal was to win regionals. We want to win sectionals and make it back on that state floor.
And by the way, that top hitter who I mentioned, that was Grace's sister, Elizabeth. She graduated last year, and Grace said it's been a complete team effort to fill her big shoes.
As a team, we all knew that, yes, she left a hole in our team from last year, but we knew that we were capable of filling that hole together. It wasn't going to just take one girl. Collectively, we had to pull together and fill that void.
The Rebels take on Lena in the sectional semis on Thursday at 7. That game will be in Shawano, and if they win that, they will be 1 win away from a second straight state appearance. Now it's time to give some love to some cross-country teams and athletes across northern Wisconsin. A lot of runners will be heading to state next weekend. Let's start with some of the teams. Lakeland Union and Phillips boys are going to state, as are the Phillips, Medford, and Chequamegon girls. Now some individuals here: Cody Roots of Rhinelander, Logan Higgins of Anago, Tanner Hraby of Medford, Taylor Cars of Crandon, and Addison Rompre of Leona Wabeno will all be going to state, as will Kylie Orison of Prentice, Addison May of Crandon, Callie Volk of Three Lakes, Rachel Riley of Tomahawk, and Nora Grenbin of Northland Pines. Good luck, runners at state. Well, I don't think anyone saw this coming. The Packers have lost 3 in a row, including yesterday to a Washington team starting their backup quarterback. All 3 phases of the game were lackluster in Green Bay's 23-21 loss, but the offense, they were particularly bad. Green Bay did not convert a single third down. Aaron Rodgers said there were a lot of mental errors throughout the game.
The margin of error is so tight. You know, a couple calls don't necessarily go our way, and we don't execute at all on offense in certain situations. Simple things, we're behind the sticks, we're, penalties, or dropping balls, we're not putting balls in the right spot. It's not winning football.
And just to round out the team's woes, Amari Rogers fumbled a punt on special teams, and on defense, our top cornerback, Jair Alexander, was beat on a 37-yard touchdown catch. By the way, the last time the Packers didn't convert a third down was in 1999, and Aaron Rodgers was in high school. We'll be right back after the break.
Chevy Silverado. It's got the power you want and the capability you need to do the job, so you can get to the important work. Find new moments, find new roads. Get a $500 cash allowance on all 2022 Silverado pickups with a 2.7-liter turbo engine when you purchase. Plus, current Chevy owners can get an additional $2,500 loyalty cash. And now during truck season, get a $1,000 accessory allowance toward a new Chevy truck with accessories.
When I started working at Michaels Corporation, Tim was 9 years old.
Tim worked in the trenches for many years when he first started out in this company.
51 years.
12 years. 20 years. 50 years.
Took a small Wisconsin company to one of the best in America.
Tim is really hardworking.
Very good leader, and he's going to tell you like it is. Because of Tim Michaels, there are thousands of good-paying jobs in Wisconsin.
Jobs that people are proud of.
I wouldn't hesitate for 1 second to jump in a foxhole with Tim.
The Internet of Things is evolving, creating the Internet of You. And Spectrum, America's leading internet and mobile provider, is bringing you seamless connectivity across all your devices. Introducing Spectrum One, Spectrum Internet with speeds of 300 megabits, advanced Wi-Fi, and Spectrum Mobile Unlimited, all for just $49.99 a month. Call 833-673-4999. Spectrum Internet delivers speeds up to a gig with over 99.9% network reliability. Advanced Wi-Fi provides enhanced security and privacy that automatically blocks threats to protect all of your devices. And Spectrum Mobile gives you unlimited talk, text, and data with nationwide 5G and the most reliable service coast to coast. Switch now. Call 833-673-4999. At Spectrum, it's not just about connecting things. It's about connecting you. Get it all with Spectrum One, Spectrum Internet, advanced Wi-Fi, and one line of Spectrum Mobile Unlimited for $49.99 a month. Call 833-673-4999 or visit a Spectrum store today.
A governor's job is to make your life better. But would anything on Tim Michaels' agenda actually help you? His rhetoric is violent.
People should just be ready to get out in the streets with pitchforks and torches.
At his company, women say they were pressured to have sex with their bosses. And he said he'd consider abolishing the Department of Public Instruction. It's a radical's dream, but it wouldn't do a single thing for you. Tony Evers' plan is pretty simple. Create good-paying jobs and bring costs down. That's the right plan for Wisconsin.
Experts say mortgage rates in the U.S. could finally decline next year, but more economic troubles could be brewing. The Mortgage Bankers Association released an updated forecast for 2023. They expect mortgage rates to drop by 5.4% by the end of next year. According to Freddie Mac, the average rate for a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is nearly 7% right now. The group also warned in its forecast that they could also expect a recession to hit the U.S. in the first part of 2023 and unemployment to rise. They say the recession will likely be driven by tighter financial conditions, reduced business investment, and slower global economic growth. The airline merger between Spirit and JetBlue is one step closer to a reality. Investors at Spirit Airlines have reached a critical agreement, but traveler experts aren't celebrating the latest steps, saying the sale could have a major impact on airfare flight prices. Jen Sullivan has a closer look at what this could mean for the airline industry, even if you don't fly these two airlines.
Clearing another hurdle to join forces. According to preliminary voting results, a majority of Spirit shareholders voted in favor of the deal to merge with JetBlue, creating a new airline that could reshape the industry.
If they're no longer in the marketplace, I worry about what impact that's going to have on airfare.
But how would this merger impact you? In a statement, the president and CEO of Spirit called the merger an important step forward to create the most compelling national low-fare challenger to the dominant U.S. carriers. But travel experts are concerned, including Scott Keyes, founder of Scott's Cheap Flights, a website that helps passengers find cheaper fares. He says even if you don't fly those two airlines, fewer competitors vying for your business could lead to higher plane fares overall.
Researchers have studied this, and they've found that when Spirit or other budget airlines start flying on a new route, fares across the board drop by about 20%.
JetBlue says it plans several changes, including reconfiguring Spirit planes to add first-class seating. JetBlue beat out an earlier offer to buy Spirit from Frontier Airlines, with both aiming to buy the budget airline to create a more viable competitor to the other four dominant carriers. The deal still faces strong antitrust scrutiny from the Justice Department, especially if they see the consolidation as harmful to consumers. For today's Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
Once all the votes are confirmed, they'll be filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission. The transaction is expected to be fully confirmed sometime in 2024. Stick around. We'll be right back with one last look at the forecast.
This portion of News Watch 12 is brought to you by Northwoods Furniture, Eagle River.
Welcome. We're so glad you're here. Looking for one of our most capable Ford SUVs? Okay, great. We've got you covered. Spacious interiors, innovative tech, good looks, and a legendary off-road experience. Check out our inventory today, or let us help you place a custom order. Getting into the perfect Ford SUV? Well, it's easier than ever. Yeah, we've got you covered. Now choose FlexBuy on a 2022 Ford Escape or Edge and get 0% financing for 66 months.
At a company, the culture comes from the top. Under Tim Michaels, court filings say women at his company were harassed and assaulted.
They repeatedly faced unwanted sexual comments. A male superior groped the crotch and inner thigh of a female employee.
Women said they were pressured to have sex with their bosses.
If she refused demands for sex, she would be blackballed from working on a pipeline job.
Those who spoke out at Michaels Corp were fired. That's how radical Tim Michaels runs his company. Don't let him run our state.
Saturday, October 29th, the Wisconsin Department of Justice will be holding a free prescription drug take-back event. If you have unused or unwanted medications, ointments, patches, non-aerosol sprays, inhalers, vials, or pet medication, clean out your medicine cabinets. Don't let your old medication fall into the wrong hands by disposing of unused or unwanted medications properly. For more information on locations and accepted items, go to doseofrealitywi.gov. This information is brought to you by the Human Service Center of Vilas, Forest, and Oneida County.
Here in Wisconsin, you should be able to walk down the street and not worry about crime. I'm Josh Call. As a former federal prosecutor and your attorney general, I've put murderers, drug traffickers, and sex offenders behind bars and kept them there. And I worked with Democrats and Republicans to change the law so rape kits don't sit around untested. I know there's more to do, but I will not stop until you and your family are safe, no matter what neighborhood you live in.
We didn't forget about the crumbs at the bottom of the bag. We're just prolonging our time with every last bit of crispy, juicy tender.
Enjoy the crispy chicken sandwich and pair it with medium fries and a $1 any size Diet Dr. Pepper.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At Batteries Plus, we do more than replace batteries and fix phones and tablets. We help our neighbors power their lives. Need a phone fixed? We got it. Get powered in-store, curbside, and at batteriesplus.com.
The world's longest timber-towered suspension bridge is now open to the public in Boyne Falls, Michigan. At roughly 1,200 feet long, Skybridge, Michigan at Boyne Mountain provides more than 1,000 feet of suspended walking surface. For comparison, the famous Skybridge in Gatlinburg, Tennessee is 700 feet long. The walkable portion of the pedestrian-only bridge is about 5 feet wide. The bridge officially opened last Saturday. Jeff, you will not see me on that bridge.
That is so